Today's Friday edition of the Daily Fantasy Basketball Podcast is brought to you by No Halftime. No Halftime is an easy-to-use iTunes app that allows you to compete in player versus player daily fantasy sports contests. Your stupid little message. Oh my goodness.
That threw you off?
I was trying, well, it kept flashing on the screen and I was trying not to look at it because I was like, I'll just look at it afterwards.
Yeah.
And then my curiosity got the best of me. And then I looked at it.
You were so curious of what I was saying?
I didn't even know what it was. Like it popped up off of your name at the bottom. Like it didn't come on the side. Anyway.
So is the band, is it Qantas Never Crashes? Is that the band or is that the name of what's the name of the song?
I don't know. From the band Qantas Never Crashes.
But what's the name of this? All right. Hold on. I know the name.
I'm just going to mention his name.
All right, go ahead.
We'll do the full intro on the next podcast. All right. Today's Friday edition of the Daily Fantasy Basketball Podcast is brought to you by No Halftime. No Halftime is an easy-to-use iTunes app that allows you to compete in player versus player daily fantasy sports contests. Use the promo code BBALL, that's BBALL, for a free $25 at sign up. That's No Halftime, where the fantasy sports season never takes a break. Daniel Green, it's Friday. What's going on, my man?
Mark, it is good to be here. And
the week is almost over.
It's been this week has been like 12 weeks. It feels like it's been a really long week. So much has happened in basketball and life, right? Is that just me or you two? Did a lot go on with you this week?
Tell us more. What are you talking about?
Well, no, I mean, just, a lot of stuff and we'll get to some stuff in a minute. Just a lot has went on.
All right. Well, we have a packed show today, so let's get right into it. During our last show, you said that you had a bunch of nonsense topics that you wanted to talk about, and we said we'd let the listeners vote on those nonsense topics and pick one, and we would talk about it today. So now's your chance. Do you want to reveal the voting for your topics?
I will, Mark. I shall reveal them now.
Okay.
So, in a landslide, Urban Outfitters was number one, which I think me and you kind of thought that might be the case. But number two was using your refrigerator / freezer as a trash can, which I don't know if we'll have time to get to that story, but maybe that can be, another.
Yeah, that might be next week.
But that's a great story as well. But no, Urban Outfitters won. So let me just so why don't we? Are you cool with me telling the listeners the update regarding that story?
Yeah, give us like a 2-minute update on that, and then and just to tease the rest of the show so everybody knows what's coming. We're gonna do a quick segment called Just the News, where we give you just the flat news from the day. We're not going to give you any analysis there because we're going to get into our casual Friday show, which is where we just talk about more general NBA topics. And today's show, we'll be talking about our All-Star selections, who Daniel and I think should be in the All-Star game. So with that, Daniel, the floor is yours. Tell us about your girl at Urban Outfitters.
And before, I know a lot of you, probably most of you are just tuning in for the Urban Outfitter story. You probably don't want to hear the All-Star selections that me and Mark are going to do. But you should stay for that because some of Mark's selections are absolutely insane. I don't know what this dude was smoking today, but you guys got to stay and listen to the whole podcast because some of Mark's selection really are like when he revealed his to me before the show, it was pretty crazy. All right, Urban Outfitter story. So really quick, brief recap. Had a mad crush on this girl for about 8 months. Finally got up the nerve to ask her out, but I made the rookie amateur mistake, which is so unlike me, Mark, where she took my number instead of me getting her number. Then she never texted me. I had to find a way to get back into Urban Outfitters, so I brought her some Christmas presents for her cat. She said she's going to text. She still never texted, and then it kind of faded away. So this all happened about December 20th. So now, about a month ago. Now, in about, I'd say like right after Christmas, I happened to meet a new lovely lady who I basically have been seeing since like the end of December, and it's gotten pretty serious. We talk almost every day. We've been out a lot, and it's getting. It's not. Me and you talk about this all the time pre-show. It's not. I don't know if it's we're not boyfriend girlfriend yet, but it's close, right? So or I guess as close as you can be in like 3 weeks or a month. However, so one night I'm over at this lovely lady's apartment, and I get a text. And the text says, "Hi, this is so-and-so from UO." I'm like, and it was like 10 o'clock at night on like a Monday. And I'm like, I don't know who the hell this is. Like, whatever. I'm like, man, must be some girl in my past. I don't know. Didn't really think much of it. And then I realized UO meant Urban Outfitter, Mark. So finally, like a month later, I get the text that I've been waiting for. And now I have a dilemma on my hands. Like, what do I do? Like, so me and the, Urban Outfitter girl have exchanged, multiple texts, and she's clearly, now wants to go out, but I'm kind of like stuck. Like, me and the other lady have kind of already said we're only going to see each other. So what do I do? What do I do, Mark? This is a dilemma. For 8 months, I was just so smitten with the Urban Outfitter girl.
So what did you do? Yeah.
Don't you think I owe it to myself to go on a date with her? But then again,
yeah, it depends on how much you like this new girl.
I mean, so listeners, I need some help here. Tweet me what I should do. This is a dilemma for me. Also, then if I go on the date with Urban Outfitter, do I tell what's her name? I mean, I got, it's like, I don't want to be dishonest, but
news for you. I think your new girl listens to the podcast. So
no, she does sometimes, but I did tell her that I got the text from Urban Outfitter girl, but I kind of just played it off. So if she listens to the podcast, maybe she can tell me what to do. I am torn a little bit. I'm rightfully so. I'm curious, right? I mean, for 8 months, I was smitten with this girl. So it totally caught me off guard. Did not expect her to text. And she didn't even have a viable reason why she waited a month, at least not that I could find out so far. So, Mark, that's my dilemma. I need advice from you, from the listeners. What do I do? It's a tough one, right?
It is. It feels very much like a sitcom.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not making this up. This is actually true. And like, I've never had someone wait. Like, why in the hell would you wait a month to text me? It's so bizarre, right?
It is bizarre.
I mean, you never know what was going on in her life. Maybe she was dating someone, or who knows? All I know is now she's ready to date, or at least go out with me. But I really do like this other girl. I mean, the other girl that I'm dating right now is really sweet. I mean, just you couldn't ask for a better person. So I don't want to.
Who does the dog like better?
Well, what do you mean? Oh, that's right. The dog has met Urban Outfitter. I'm not gonna lie. That's a tough one. The dog likes both. My neuter dog, who's okay, by the way. Thank you on Twitter for all the well wishes. I really appreciate it. He's a little mad at me today. I picked him up, but he's doing well as you can do without any balls. So, but no, he likes them both. At least with his balls, he liked them both. I'm not sure, without his balls, what he's going to do now. So there it is. That's the update. I finally have gotten the text, guys, but I'm now seeing someone else. What do you do?
Well, all right. We'll let the listeners decide. We don't need to spend any more time with that one.
Yeah, no. Fine.
All right. You want to get into our news segment where we're going to do just the news?
I do.
No analysis. Just
rapid. This is where you are basically the Brian Williams of the show. And by the way, whatever happened to Brian Williams?
He's on MSNBC.
Is he?
Yeah.
What's he doing?
News anchor of some kind. I haven't ever watched him. I just know that's.
Wait, when the hell did that happen? I missed that.
I think it's been a couple of months.
So will he ever get his the primetime?
I don't know.
Interesting. I had no idea he was back. You think I'm alone on that, or?
I guess it's fair to say that you don't watch a lot of MSNBC.
No, I'm not. The whole all the politics kind of annoys me. So no, I guess not. But wow, that's it. That's good. Good for him. Good job, Brian.
All right, here's the news. On Thursday night, the Pelicans changed their starting lineup. They started Tyreek Evans, Anthony Davis, Omar Ashik, Dante Cunningham, and Norris Cole. So that leaves Drew Holiday on the bench. Norris Cole in 31 minutes had 12 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. Daniel thinks he's a pickup. I think I'm probably still not picking him up yet. Is that true, Daniel?
Yeah, that is true. like I really do believe the Pelicans are going to be shutting down Tyreek Evans in the probably after the All-Star break. There's no reason for him to keep playing on that bulky knee. I wouldn't be surprised if they shut down Anthony Davis at some point, because I think they really are going to go after that number 1 lottery pick. So that makes Norris Cole a great play and someone who could actually help you win your fantasy playoffs. So I love Norris Cole right now.
Yusuf Nurkic in Denver returned to action on Thursday night. He'd sat out the previous 3 games with ankle and knee issues, still returning from his injuries from the offseason. And also in that game, worth mentioning, Will Barton is struggling. We're almost near the end of the game. He has 4 points, 4 rebounds. Basically, the last 2 weeks, his numbers have been down across the board. His playing time's been down across the board. He's shooting 37%. So he was great for a little while. He is not doing as great any longer. All right, last one. Moving on to Phoenix. Phoenix, we mentioned last show, Daniel, about all their injury problems. Well, on Thursday night versus the Spurs, John Lore sat out, Markieff Morris sat out, Miroslav Teletovic sat out, and Brandon Knight sat out. So it'll be interesting to see.
If I could actually play sound effects, I would have played a bomb exploding.
Yeah, they may also be going for that number 1 seed. And to counter, the Spurs sat out Tim Duncan and Tony Parker. Doesn't seem those are just rest issues though. All the guys on the Suns seem hurt, so pay attention to that box score. Look who played, who didn't play, and maybe make some pickups to go along with that.
And also, I'm going to look into this. Did PJ Tucker get hurt while we were doing this show? In the last 5 minutes, he might have, but I'll check on that. Keep going.
He did. He took a knee to the sternum. He's questionable to return to the game.
So basically, me and you could be playing for Phoenix right now.
I think so. All right.
Cheers.
That's the end of our just the news segment. The rest of the show is going to be non-fantasy related.
Hey, Mark, can I quickly add one thing about the news? Because I actually did find this interesting.
Sure.
So, Phoenix did start, Chandler and Alex Len at the 4. And I guess they did a lot of this in the summer league. And I was blown away when I was reading about this today for Phoenix. Does that surprise you at all? Does that make Len in any way a more viable pickup in the second half of the season?
No.
All right.
Yeah, no. What is that it?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. I mean, Len to me is intriguing, man. You're telling me if he can play a stretch 4, I just want to
I mean, listen. I didn't plan on doing 5 minutes about Alex Len, but we can get into him if you want.
I just look. I mean,
Alex Len is look at his per 36 minute number so far this season. He's averaging 12 points, 11 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 0 3-pointers, and less than 2 blocks a game or per 36 minutes. So, you translate that, maybe he gets 30 minutes. He's not even really that's what, 8-9 points, 8 rebounds, and a block. I mean, it feels like a lot of the other guys that we've talked about already this season. I'm not excited about his fantasy prospects really at all, even if he gets big minutes.
All right, I'm just saying, I'm just intrigued. As Alex Len is a stretch 4. I mean, it intrigues me. Granted,
I don't think he's playing stretch 4. I think they're just playing 2 centers.
All right, the articles I was reading saying they were having him a stretch 4. I mean, it intrigued.
Do you think there's any? Well, so I'm not trying to call you wrong. I'm just saying.
No, you can. That's fine. I've been wrong a couple times in my life. The Brian Williams thing, I was wrong.
No, is there anything in his skill set that makes you think he can play stretch 4?
No, that's why I found the article so fascinating. The Phoenix beat writers and the people covering the team there think that he can. And to me, that blew my mind, because I was like, there's no way. I'm the 7'1" stiff who runs as slow as an ox. So I just found it very interesting that this he's gonna be guarding a Draymond Green. Are you kidding me? Are you out of your mind?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Anyway, moving on. Sorry about that.
No, let's we can talk about Alex Len for another 30 minutes if you'd like.
You want to do a whole show on Alex Len?
Sure. I think that's where we're headed.
The land of Len? How about that?
That could be the new podcast name.
All right. Let's go on to the All-Star selection.
All right, All-Star. So again, just general NBA talk from here on out. We're not going to do a lot of fantasy, but it should be a lot of fun. Hopefully it's a nice way to ease you into the weekend. Did have one other mention we wanted to give out. Matthew Langley reached out to us. Thank you, Matthew. He sent us his very own song that he had recorded to possibly use as intro music. I think we're going to try to make sure that we can play that song for everybody on Monday and see what you all think, if it'll be a good intro song for us or not.
Shout out to his band, and I might butcher the name, but I think it's Quinta Never Crashes. Really cool song. So thanks for reaching out, man.
Yeah, awesome that you would send it. If anybody else has something along those lines where they'd like to have us play their music on the podcast, I think we'd definitely be up for that at least once or twice. And if everybody likes it, we'll keep it around maybe permanently.
I mean, I think I'm gonna write my own song called "The Land of Len" and play that in the opening.
All right. So what we wanted to do is just share with everybody who we would pick if we were in charge of selecting the All-Star team, who we would pick. And Daniel, I think we have some different approaches to the All-Star game. Do you want to share with us how you went about picking your All-Stars?
I mean, for the most part, my All-Stars, I mean, I didn't dig deep into the analytics, which I know that you did, which came out with really much more interesting results than mine. But to me, it was quite simple. I mean, I basically said, who would I want to see play at the All-Star game? Like, that's what I think the All-Star game should be. Like, if I was went or even watching in TV, who do I want to see play? Really simple approach.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, I definitely get that approach, and I think that's basically what they're asking us to do when we select our starters, right? If we vote on starters, pick who you want.
Yeah.
To me, it's like the All-Star game is a hodgepodge of different things they're trying to accomplish. Like on one hand, it's an exhibition game for the fans to enjoy, so pick who you want. On the other hand, like it's used for contract incentives, it's used for Hall of Fame discussions, it's used for which player is better than the other player. Like people will cite how many All-Star game appearances you have. So I kind of wish the NBA would pick one lane or the other, but we're kind of left with this ambiguous, like, what is the All-Star game? Who deserves to be in there? I think the most frustrating part for me is, what do you do with superstars who had, probably because they missed some time, they had a bad first 40 games of the season? Like, do you count the All-Star game as simply who has performed well for the first 40 games? Or do you say, here are our best players in the NBA? It doesn't matter that Kyrie Irving sat out for 25 games. He's one of the best 25 players, so we're going to play him.
Yeah, and this is where it does get – I mean, first of all, going back to your first point, like that's every sports league, man. Like
No, it is.
Like that's just that's always how All-Star games are going to be, especially if you're letting the fans vote. I mean, at least in the NFL, they let like I think it's like a third the players, a third the coaches, and a third the fans, right?
Right.
So which is for the Pro Bowl, so that's a little better system, I think. But as long as you have fans voting, like that's why you're going to end up with Zaza Pachulia getting ahead of Draymond Green in the voting, and you're going to get crazy stuff. And Kobe leading the getting more votes than anyone. That's just what's going to happen. So I just kind of accept that. But to your second point regarding what do you do with people who have been injured and all that good stuff, that's where it gets tricky. And for like the team that I made, yeah, I mean I kind of went with only guys who have been playing this year. So I left out like Blake Griffin because he's just missed too many games. So that's and the Kyrie Irving, he's missed too many games. It's just like.
And I guess what I like about it is by the end of the season, the NBA tries to rectify that with the all NBA teams.
Right. And the thing, and to one of your points about contract incentives, a lot of contract incentives, and this is the agents do this on purpose. It will say you get X amount for making the All-Star team or all NBA team.
Right.
So
anyway, all I'm saying is it matters more than is just the exhibition game that they say for a lot of reasons. Hall of Fame, contract, whatever you want to say, it sort of matters. So here was my approach, and I did this mostly because we planned this, and then I feel like a lot of other podcasts and media outlets did their All-Star picks, and so I wanted to take just a different slant on it. I went out to a bunch of different NBA stat websites and grabbed as many sort of, like baseball has wins above replacement, where they try to boil a player's value down to one stat. NBA has a lot of different versions of that stat, like PER is one, win shares is one, Real plus minus is one. I tried to take a bunch of these stats that boil a player's value down to one metric and aggregate all those metrics together and see who it would spit out as the top all-star. So here are the stats I used. I used PER from John Hollinger. I used offensive and defensive win shares from Basketball Reference. I used a combination of win shares per 48 minutes, so sort of highlights the players that are really good on a per minute basis. I used offensive and defensive real plus minus from ESPN, and along with their estimated wins added statistic. And then this was the coolest one that I found from inpredict.com. It's basically a way to measure which players change in-game win probability the most. If you want to know a little bit more about it, go to inpredict.com. But it basically, so if a player hits a game-winning shot, that obviously changes the win probability by a huge margin. And so they would get a lot of credit for that. But also, like, if they made a steal earlier in the game that changed the win probability a lot for their team, they would get credit for that. So those are the stats. I know that's a lot of stats, but I kind of took all of those stats and how the players ranked in each of those stats and boiled them down to one number. So it'll be interesting to see which players come out on top and what surprises there are.
Just so our listeners know, Mark showed me like his ridiculous spreadsheet that he made, and it looked basically like the Magna Carta. It was like 70,000 pages long. It was written in like a native tongue that I've never seen. All these numbers, it was pretty amazing, quite honestly. So
thanks.
You're welcome.
I couldn't tell if you were trying to diss me or compliment.
No. I mean, no, I was not. Like, I was super impressed. Although, made me kind of like feel bad because I was like, I'm just picking the guys who I want to watch.
No, I actually think this is a combination because I think we can have a good discussion.
No, I totally agree. And like, again, like once we start saying who your mad spreadsheets kind of spit out, like some of the players that came out with are crazy.
Yeah, well, and it's funny. It's funny because some of them are very conventional, right? Like,
yes,
we actually matched on most of our players, and it's interesting the ones we didn't match on.
Right.
I think so. I think that's what we're going to highlight here for the rest of the show is let's just go quickly over the guys that we maybe matched on. The first guy so let's start in the East with the backcourt. You went with Kyle Lowry and Dwayne Wade.
That's right, brother. I switched. I had Jimmy Butler, but look, I last second I switched to Wade. And just so everyone on the podcast knows, if you don't know already, I'm a huge Wade fan. This is a completely biased, horrendous decision to put Wade in there. It should be Butler. But I put Wade in there only because I think this really could be his last year to make an all-star team. Like, his body is falling apart quicker than my relationship with the girl who I've been seeing, not Urban Outfitter girl, if she's listening to this podcast. So, I just want to see Wade play with LeBron one last time. I think it'd be really cool, and that's why I put Wade in there ultimately.
Wade comes in as the 13th best option for a guard in my little metric here. He's dragged down most by the fact that he ranks 66th in guards in defensive real plus minus.
Yep, and defensively is that's the one thing when I was going through. And the thing is, like, Wade's, it's not that crazy. Well, maybe as a starter, but it's not that crazy to think of Wade making the All-Star team. I mean, really, it would boil down to me. The last guard spot would be like, we can get into later, but DeMar DeRozan versus Wade. And one of the reasons why probably DeMar's a smarter play is because DeMar plays a little bit better defense these days. Like, Wade just lillygags way too much.
DeRozan actually came out 64th in ESPN's plus minus, but so he's down there on my list too. So the only interesting thing about Lowry, which I was really glad he came out on top because games in Toronto, I always have like a soft spot in my heart for players who are playing in their hometown on All-Star weekend. Like, I think that's fun for the fans. But anyway, here was the amazing thing. Lowry came out first in every single one of those stats that I read you for guards in the East, except for two. And in those two, he came out second.
So give me the two he did not come in first. I want to see if I can guess who came in first.
He didn't come out in offensive win shares. He came in second behind Butler.
Okay.
And in the win probability added statistic, he came in second behind John Wall.
Oh, yeah, I would have guessed Wall. I said, let me guess, my man.
Sorry.
It's okay.
He came in. I mean, he was first or second, so it's not like he was down low in any of those. So and Butler came in second overall for me. So Lowry and Butler are my 2 starting guards.
Yeah, and that really is mine too. Even though I put Wade in there, just because that's purely because I want to see Wade play one last All-Star game.
Hey, all right, let's move to the front court. We both had LeBron James. He was the clear number 1. He's dropped a little bit in the defensive advanced stats, but not enough. I mean, he's a solid starter.
Can I mention one more thing about Lowry real quick? And I know you're bringing all the knowledge about the real deep analytics in this show, so I got to bring some goofy stuff to make me seem useful. But do you remember last year how Justin Bieber, and this is legitimate, people thought this was like a hoax. It was not. How Justin Bieber like tweeted, vote Kyle Lowry, and that's why he ended up surpassing Dwayne Wade and John Wall and won the East in voting last year. And this year, like Bieber did not do that for Lowry this year.
He did it for Chris Paul.
That's right. That's what I was going to say next. Which like I know Bieber actually. Well, no, Bieber got a lot of backlash, but I know Lowry did. So I wonder if Lowry reached out to Bieber and said, "Look, don't do that this year. I want to make it like on my own merits." Do you think something like that happened?
Well, I know Lowry had a big push, and I'm trying to remember from which media star it was from, but he got a ton from some media person. Who was it?
Yeah, I don't remember who it was, but I'm not sure. Like what happened with? I mean, I think he reached out to Bieber and said, "Look, man, don't do it." And then why the Biebs, went for Chris Paul was, I guess, because he's is he a Clippers fan? I don't know. I see him at Lakers games occasionally, but I thought that was interesting.
I'm trying to look it up.
I know you love the Biebs.
Oh no, here's what it was: is there's a guy named Lewis who was giving away iPhone. He basically said everybody who retweeted his tweet would get a chance to win an iPhone 6S, and it was a vote Kyle Lowry into the All-Star game, and it got 47,000 retweets, which were all votes for Lowry. I think that's what pushed him over the edge.
Yeah, I mean, like I was also surprised with the number of votes overall. Like, to make a starter, like I think Lowry, what did Lowry have? 700,000 votes, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I thought, I don't know. I just because Bieber has 70 million Twitter followers.
I don't know.
So it's just like I thought that some of these guys would have more votes than that. But yeah, so I mean, like giving away an iPhone if you get like 48,000 retweets, and that's all you need to do to get to count as an All-Star vote these days. If someone just like retweets something that you do, it's super easy. That's why I thought there'd be the votes would be higher. Like everyone would be getting over 1 million votes, but I guess that's not the case.
I didn't vote. Did you vote?
No, I actually did not vote this year. Last year I voted a lot for D Wade because like I think you can do like one retweet or tweet a day.
Right.
So, I follow a lot of Miami Heat stuff, so I would just they would send out stuff and I would just retweet it. This year I didn't. I was like
I don't think I voted for a long time. So I guess
you didn't vote for Karl Anthony Towns. That's crazy.
I didn't vote for anybody. Karl Anthony Towns didn't even make my imaginary All-Star team.
I know. I was shocked. That was I can't believe in your super analytical based numbers, Anthony Towns didn't come out number 1 and everything.
He's pretty close. He's a top rookie for sure. All right, let's keep going. So
we got LeBron. We both had LeBron, and then what?
We both agreed on LeBron, and now why don't you tell us the other 2 front court guys because we don't match on those.
Okay, so the guys that I put on my team in the East, I put Paul George at one forward, at the one forward spot, and the last front court spot. I waffled with, but I ended up going Andre Drummond, man. I know he hasn't the last few weeks he hasn't been as great. He started off the season tremendous, but I want that presence. I still think he's been a monster this year, so that's why I went with Drummond. Yeah,
and Drummond he didn't even come in on my All-Star ballot. But what's weird is, so he ranks.
Yeah, I'm not happy with this. I mean, like you have freaking Pau Gasol over. You have.
Hey, hold on. Don't reveal all my picks. Don't reveal all my picks.
Like, come on, no Drummond. That's crazy, Mark.
So let's talk about Drummond for a second. So he comes in. He comes in number 1 on Basketball Reference's defensive metric and number 2 on ESPN's defensive metric. So he's definitely high in those ones. And he actually came in pretty high in the wins probability added. The places where he got hurt, and I'm interested to hear your take because he did just fine in PR. He got hurt on the offensive side, basically offensive win shares, on Basketball Reference, he was 34th overall, and in ESPN's version, he was 43rd overall. I was pretty surprised by that. He's close to 20 points a game, but I guess his team struggles offensively when he's out there.
Detroit's 23-20 on the year. I mean, they're basically number 6 in the East right now, and what, 2 games out of 4th, 3 games out of 3rd. So it's like, I mean, Detroit needs a player there. He's by far their best player. I mean, don't tell me Reggie Jackson should be going to the All-Star game. So just using kind of common sense like that, and just watching the games. I mean, like, I'm not sure what those numbers are all based on, but that's
no, those are basically numbers like they try to take account for how well the team does offensively when he's on the floor. So
right.
And they struggle when he's on the court offensively.
And I guess I would say, take him off the court and let's see how Detroit would be, right? They'd be a lottery team. They'd be one of the worst teams in the East, in my opinion. So to me, that stat is that's what's it's confusing, right?
It's surprising. I don't think it's confusing.
All right, confusing was the wrong word. Yes, it's surprising.
Yeah, I'm surprised that I thought they would be better off with him on the court offensively. Now, clearly defense. I'm also surprised by the defensive side, frankly, because I thought he would struggle. At least my impression of Drummond is he's not as good of a defensive player as like his rebounds and blocks would suggest. But he shows very favorably here. I'm trying to look up his
the one thing that, like, does free throw percentage come into play with any of these things? That's why it's like some of those stats, with guys like Drummond and guys like DeAndre Jordan.
No, it totally does. It goes with the points.
Yeah. So I mean,
here's what we're looking at. So on the court. So when let's see.
Who, by the way, Drummond was 13 for 36 from the free throw line yesterday. It just, it was crazy. Most misses ever in a NBA game.
That's crazy. So he didn't miss the cut by much, but he did miss my cut. All right, so here are my starters. I got LeBron. I got Paul Millsap. He was number 2, and Chris Bosh came out number 3. Probably by this point, I think Bosh might be one of the most underrated players in the NBA. He's solid on both ends of the court. Pretty consistent production. The advanced metrics, love him. So,
but Mark, both those guys are always underrated. Millsap too.
Yeah, I agree.
That's because Atlanta is always underrated. I mean, Millsap and Horford, another guy who's underrated. Although Horford's had a down year, but Millsap's, he's been tremendous last year and this year.
You know what I was thinking was kind of interesting about those two guys is a lot of the talk you hear in the NBA is like who could guard Draymond Green, who could match up with the Warriors, who could guard Draymond Green. And not that these guys would ever face him in the playoffs, but I actually think both of those two guys are as good of solutions in the NBA as we have. Like I think Millsap and Bosh could both do a fairly decent job matching up with Draymond Green.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I think.
Anyway, all right, let's get on to the East reserves. So basically, the way the reserves work is you have 2 guards, 3 front court players, and 2 wild cards. So we want to tell us
this is where Mark gets crazy. I mean, some of these advanced. I'm basically becoming Charles Barkley on this show. Advanced stats are crap.
Why don't you tell us who your 2 reserve guards were?
So I got John Wall, my man. Come on, the whole team's been hurt this year. He's been tremendous. Made me a lot of money in DFS as well. And the surprising thing is his field goal percentage, which notoriously is super low. I think it's like creeping above like 44% or something like reasonably respectable for someone like John Wall, who's got to carry the entire team on his back and who still doesn't have a jump shot. So, I'm a big John Wall fan. I consider him as a starter. I mean, quite honestly, if you want to start John Wall over Jimmy Butler, I think you could make a case for it. So I like John Wall, and then the second spot, man, I'm going DeMar, and for one reason is another guy who is overlooked. No one really talks about DeMar. I mean, the Lowry gets a lot of the attention there. Most people think of DeMar as kind of a one-trick pony, very scoring dependent. But even though we just mentioned briefly the defensive metrics on him, which are not that great, defensively, I think he's been a little bit better. Well,
what's weird about that is, and this is, we don't need to spend a lot of time on this because I I think it would be boring to explain the difference, but Basketball Reference's win shares, defensive win shares, have him rated pretty well, and ESPN's have him rated really poorly. So it's not clear that he's a bad defender.
Yeah. So and last reason I put DeMar on there was it's like you said, it's in Toronto.
In Toronto, yeah.
It's cool. It'd be cool to get both those guys in there.
All right, so here are my 2 East reserves. I had John Wall, easy pick, and the other guy who got in there for me was Kemba Walker. Sort of surprising, but listen, he's a top 10 player in basically every one of those advanced metrics that we referenced.
Even defensively?
Defensive win shares, he's 5th in East guards. ESPN's real plus minus didn't love him as much, but yeah, he scored out a lot better defensively than some of those other guys we've been talking about.
I mean, it's not
having a great year.
Yeah, it's not a. Well, I wouldn't say great.
This is clearly his best year.
I mean, right now Toronto is in. Wow, they've really fallen. They're in 12th place in the East.
So here's Walker's line, just so we have that in our mind. 35 minutes a game, 20 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 1.7 steals, 1.8 threes, 0.6 blocks, shooting 44% from the field and 86% from the free throw line. So a heck of a fantasy stat line. But he's also been solid in the advanced metrics as well. So I like those 2 guys.
I don't want Kemba on my All-Star team. I don't want to see, and I also don't want to see a 5'6" guy taking 23-foot fadeaway jumpers.
So how can you put Isaiah Thomas on your team?
He's exciting. I think he's a more exciting player than Kemba.
But that's exactly what you just described, like a 5'6" guy taking fadeaway jumpers.
I'm not gonna lie, you kind of have me there on that one. Also, why are you going and revealing my final wild card pick on the team? As you can see, I have a slash. I'm not sure Isaiah Thomas is gonna make my team. I'm still debating. But no.
So just to be clear, and Bulls fans can tweet at Daniel. Daniel has listed out 4 guards yet and has yet to put Jimmy Butler on his team.
No, that's not true. Because I said objective. I put Wade as my starter, but objectively, I think it should be Jimmy Butler. So Bulls fans, relax. And I will say, Bulls fans, I'm proud of you, because if Derrick Rose would have been voted as a starter for the All-Star game, I would have left. I don't know what I would have done. I was going to say left the country, but that wouldn't have really helped me.
All right, let's move through these. The front.
Wait, aren't you proud of America for not voting in Derrick Rose finally?
Congratulations, America.
Because they did reveal the top 10 jersey sales about last week, and Derrick Rose was still in there, and I was so frustrated. He's still number 6, in jersey sales.
All right, you want to know who my next 3 front court guys are?
Do I know who's number 5 in jersey sales?
No, I don't care.
Fine. Go ahead.
Porzingis was up there, I know. All right.
Who's number 4?
Pau Gasol, Kevin Love, Paul George.
That's I mean.
So what do you have a problem with there?
I just Kevin Love. I'm just tired of him. Just watching that Golden State game. I'm so tired of him just sitting in a corner, letting Kyrie and LeBron do basically take turns on offense, like Wade and LeBron did when in LeBron's first year in Miami. Kevin Love, and I think a lot of this is just on Cleveland. They don't use him properly. They don't run any plays for him. They don't run any plays for him at the elbow. He just sits in the dang corner. Especially in the fourth quarter, or he gets benched, and defensively he's atrocious. Golden State abused him.
I don't know. So obviously a bad matchup for Draymond Green, just like we were talking about.
Right. But also when they played San Antonio, I mean San Antonio ran 20 consecutive plays directly whoever Kevin against whoever Kevin Love was guarding. I mean and I think
but for the teams that aren't historically great all-time teams, he's actually been a fairly good, not great defender this year. He breaks out. The team does pretty well with him on the court.
So how does he come on your rankings?
Yeah. So defensive win shares, again, they don't necessarily agree. In win shares, he came out as the 6th best front court player. According to Basketball Reference, according to ESPN, he's 23rd. So again, good, not great, but not terrible as you would maybe expect.
I mean, it's Kevin Love is such an interesting selection because like you think about it, Cleveland still got a really, really solid record, easily, top in the East. So they probably need 2 players, right? Obviously LeBron, and then Kyrie hasn't played enough games. So what are you gonna do? Put Tristan Thompson in there? Like,
yeah, and he's he's not averaging the points, but he's averaging 16 points, 11 rebounds, 2 3-pointers.
So I mean, like in theory, it's okay play, but I'm just, on my team. I want no part of that guy right now. Like no,
fair enough.
Get off my squad.
And we of course agree on Paul George. You just got him as a starter. I've got him as a bench player.
So, but you also have Gasol, who I think is an interesting play. Yeah. So like how like Gasol actually ranked pretty high defensively.
Let me look.
To me, he's the worst. He may be the worst defensive center or defensive big man in the East.
And I will preface this by again saying I don't know that I believe all of these metrics, but I'm using them as a way to generate an interesting conversation. He rates out very well on these defensive metrics.
Like, how is that possible, Mark?
He's a top 5 player according to both defensive metrics.
That's insane.
I know. Like anybody who watches the games would not say that Pau Gasol is a top 5 defensive player, but statistically he's doing quite well. He's averaging 16 points, 11 rebounds, 2.5 or 2.3 blocks, 3 assists.
See, yeah, I mean, like I don't like that. Just like you watch the games, and you'll be screaming if you're a Bulls fan. You're screaming at the TV, get him off the court defensively. Like he gets just abused so bad. He can't move. His lateral.
His team, like stats wise, what these stats are telling us is his team does better defensively when he's on the court than when he's off.
I know, and that's why these stats
are very surprising.
It's so startling. I mean. Yeah, I mean it's baffling.
Anyway,
I mean offensively he's so supremely talented. He's still a great player offensively and fantasy wise. He's been terrific, and he's still and that's in like 29 to 30 minutes a game too. So, but just
the only other front court guy that you had that I didn't have was Al Horford, and he just barely missed the cut for me. So I don't think we have a lot to discuss.
Yeah, I just put Horford on there because I didn't want Kevin Love, and I didn't think Pau Gasol deserved it. Like. But
yeah, that's fair.
Horford has had a down year too. So,
all right. So, and are you okay? So we both had Isaiah Thomas as a wild card.
Yep.
And your other wild card was Carmelo Anthony. I think that is probably pretty likely to happen.
And I didn't want to put Melo on there. And I am just, I'm so tired of reading the articles and taking some of this from what Zach Lowe said from, I guess, what is he just from ESPN now? Because he was Grantland, I guess, from ESPN now. Like he was kind of venting about this too. There's just so many articles now how Carmelo is just like he's playing such great basketball. He's such a good passer, and by the way, Carmelo has been really efficient, playing a lot better. But where the hell has this been his first 12 years in the league? Like people have been saying like Melo needs to do these things, play defense, pass the ball a little bit, be more efficient, like forever. Well,
according to these defensive stats, he's not playing his defensive side, but he is. I mean, he is passing more. It could be a function of Phil Jackson's influence. It could be a function of better teammates around him than he's had in a little while.
I mean, his teammates still stink. What, he has Porzingis now? I mean, so playing with Aaron Aflalo.
I think they've got some interesting enough players, and I think if you combine that with the system and the philosophies that Phil Jackson's trying to implement there, I think it could lead to a guy who passes more. I think the fact that he's slowing down physically can also help that.
Yeah, I think that may be the case, but in no way do I see, oh my God, I have Aaron Aflalo, and like a light bulb's going to go off. This was, the great Robin Lopez and Aaron Aflalo on my team. I'm going to start.
My last wild card, and this was the guy I was really excited who made it, was Jay Crowder. What do you think of that?
I'm not as surprising as maybe some other people would be. Like, you can make a legitimate case he's been Boston's best player, best all around player. So
yeah, I mean, I think he's definitely an underrated guy.
And I did think about him instead of Isaiah Thomas. I just think Isaiah Thomas is much more exciting. And if there's one guy who I wouldn't want to see just aesthetically at an All-Star game, it'd be Jay Crowder, because offensively, offensively he doesn't really do much. He's not really super athletic. He hustles. He plays tremendous defense. He can hit an occasional three. He does a lot of different things on the basketball court. He's not a guy I want to see in an All-Star game.
Another guy that if you were trying to match up with the Warriors' small ball, I think would be a great candidate for that. But
yeah, agree.
No, I agree. I think he makes the team more as a guy who like deserves to make the team than somebody who you would want to see there. Like,
he basically reminds me of now Kenneth Faried. Actually, if I can, and by the way, Mark.
Yeah.
I get so excited on these podcasts, and I have so much I want to say. Do you notice me stuttering all the time? It's like driving me nuts. Like if anyone like can give me some stuttering lessons, like because when I give presentations as an attorney, I don't stutter. Like it's very funny how I get on these podcasts, and I just have so much to say. I'm so excited to talk to you that I start stuttering. But anyway, what was I going to say now? I totally. Oh, so yeah, but I think Jay Crowder, he reminds me of an injury-free Kenneth Faried. You agree with that in any way or no?
I mean, they have the same haircut. I mean, Kenneth Faried is a very limited defensive player. I think Jay Crowder's probably strength as a defensive player, and the fact that he's a good shooter or a serviceable shooter on the offensive end. Faried is neither of those things, so I'm not sure what the connection is there.
All right, moving on.
No, I mean, happy to have my opinion changed. That's just what comes to my mind.
I do agree with you, and this is one thing I don't understand, like why Kenneth Faried's defense has never been up to par. But
it really doesn't make sense. He's athletic and he's a hustle guy, but
he has all the tools. I don't know if he's like, and well, this is one reason why he would never get playing time under Brian Shaw. They were like arch enemies. Like it's really baffling. But I think that Jay Crowder could be an injury-free Kenneth Faried. Maybe not though. We can let the listeners weigh in on that.
Okay, let's jump over to the West side. We didn't have as many disagreements on this side. We matched on 10 players actually.
Yeah.
So we'll just read through them quickly. To no one's surprise, Steph Curry is very, very good at basketball.
I wanted to go JJ Barea here, but I had to go Curry.
I'll get to this in a second, but I had a guy who came out almost like JJ Barea. Anyway, Russell Westbrook was our other guard, so we agreed on that. Both subjectively, your opinion, and looking at the advanced metrics, say that those two should be the backcourt. Kawhi Leonard, Draymond Green were both in our front court. That was pretty much a no-brainer, I think, both ways.
Mark, can I just say this? So you know how in the NHL, like they voted in some like basically like some goon who barely plays and it's like a minor leaguer to be like the starter and captain for one of the teams. So if there was like a kind of somewhat of a similar situation in the NBA, like who would you have liked to see voted in? That's kind of a complete just kind of like FU to the NBA, and it's kind of a joke.
Is that a world peace?
Really? Because my guy is Ty Lawson.
Yeah.
How great would it have been if Ty Lawson is the starting point guard for the West?
That would have been pretty good.
It would have been awesome.
Indeed.
Anyway.
All right. So we matched on Kawhi Leonard. We matched on Draymond Green. Now, by a hair, the guy who came out as my third front court player, ahead of Kevin Durant, who was your third front court player, was DeAndre Jordan, surprisingly enough.
Yeah, like the thing about DeAndre Jordan is, I mean, he keeps getting all the criticism where offensively he's horrendous. He can't shoot free throws, but for what he does, like on the court, and especially they've been tremendous since Blake Griffin's been out, which is I think it's been out 13, 14 games now. Yeah. So. Like DeAndre, I mean, look, he's tremendous rebounder, tremendous shot blocker, great defensive presence, and offensively, he's going to get you offensive rebounds and some alley-oop dunks. But he's a pretty good player. So I mean, like, I don't think he should start, but it's not like
he's on your all-star team.
He did make my as a reserve for me, but starting.
So here's the interesting thing. So last year, Doc Rivers came out and said he's like the next Bill Russell, right? Like he's this defensive genius, and he was touting him for Defensive Player of the Year. And all the advanced metrics said DeAndre Jordan is not a good defensive player. And so there was this big war between like Charles Barkley type Doc River people who say, no, he's great. You don't know what you're talking about. And all the stats head who were saying the numbers don't bear it out. Like he's not good defensively. Well, what's strange this year, Daniel, is so far this season, the defensive metrics say he's been an elite defender. So I don't know what's changed. I haven't been able to identify it watching the games. but he ranks as a top 5 player in both versions of the defensive win share statistic. So it appears that he's improved on that defensive, in those defensive metrics. And it'll be interesting to see if that narrative comes back this year, where all the stat heads acknowledge that he's been very, very good defensively this year.
Yeah.
And Kevin Durant he and Jordan were basically neck and neck. So he's obviously on my reserve team.
Well, that's not what you told me pre-show. You told me pre-show Kevin Durant is a horrendous defender.
He is according to these stats, he comes out very poorly, and then he's almost first in basically every other stat. So that's why he comes out 4th overall.
Interesting.
So like he's first in offensive win shares and offensive real plus minus, but he's 63rd in defensive real plus minus. So if you kind of average it all together, he's second in that win probability category. So he comes out just barely outside of the starters for me, and entirely due to his defensive lack of defensive effectiveness.
And DeAndre Jordan, another guy in an All-Star game. Actually, no, he actually could be interesting to see in an All-Star game. I guess he could
make some excellent alley-oop
blocks, and he's athletic. So okay, not horrendous to watch.
Yeah. All right, in the backcourt, in the reserves, we both agreed on Chris Paul. Like I said, you had DeAndre Jordan. We both agreed on Anthony Davis. We both agreed on Boogie Cousins. Is that it? I think those. Who else? Oh, and we both agreed on James Harden.
No,
you took Harden off.
I took him off last second.
I'm looking at your thing here, and it has Harden. So you.
Well, no, it has. Well, if you look at look at my last player, so you also says DeAndre Jordan / Harden.
Oh, okay.
So then I decided on DeAndre Jordan over Harden.
Okay, so Harden's off for you.
Oh, he's off for me.
So
a lot of that is just my personal bias. I loathe the guy. Like I loathe watching him. I think I still remember him. He was horrendous. In the finals against Miami when he's on OKC. I think he contributes. Look at his numbers. I mean, I'm sure they're great. In terms of except his field goal percentage, but yeah. I'm sure the offensive metrics are fantastic. But
he's basically like Kevin Durant right now. His offensive metrics are very, very good, and his defensive metrics are very, very bad.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather have Ty Lawson over.
Oh my goodness.
Over Harden. Look. He's a ball stopper. I mean, he's basically Carmelo. He's a younger version with a bigger beard of Carmelo.
I disagree with that. I think he has a different. He can do different things passing the ball like Carmelo Anthony never could do.
So
he can get to the line in a different way. But your general concept, I understand. Like as a ball stopping offensive player who doesn't play
and someone that I want and I'm serious on this. He's not a good fit for an All-Star game. What do I want to see him doing a Euro step and getting a foul in the All-Star game? Get the heck out of here with that. Get the heck out of here. I want no part of that guy in the All-Star game. Yeah. And I think it cost Kevin McHale his job. I mean, there's nothing good coming from that guy right now. Just if you have him in fantasy, then if I have him on none of my teams, I wonder if my tune would change if I had him on any of my teams this year. But because I mean, obviously, he's been a great player on fantasy, but.
So your guards are CP3.
Yep.
And then you've got Klay Thompson and Damian Lillard.
Yeah.
And I don't have Klay Thompson or Damian Lillard.
Yeah, I mean, just because Golden State's been so phenomenal. So they had to me get 3 players, and then Draymond, Steph, and then I had to get Klay in there.
I'm actually okay with Klay. He didn't come. He came in just kind of on the outskirts.
Yeah, offensively, he's come around. He's the first, I'd say, month of the season. This is legit. He was their 4th best player the first month of the season. The Harrison Barnes was their 3rd best player. And offensively, they were going to Harrison Barnes. They're running a hell of a lot more plays for Harrison Barnes than Klay Thompson.
He hasn't been as good defensively this season as he has been in the past. He's not, Iguodala is a lot categories. And if you read some of the articles from the Golden State guys, they say Klay was dealing with some injuries that first month, which who knows? Very well could have been.
Some ankle issues. So who knows if that, how much that's true or not. But since that first month, and then Harrison Barnes went out for Golden State, Klay really stepped up offensively. Defensively, like you said, been a little down, but still, I think he deserves a shot. Deserves a spot this year. Look, Lillard. I mean, Portland's battling for a playoff spot. They're right there with Utah. I don't know how. They have no talent besides Lillard. I mean, McCollum. I don't think he's even that talented, but I guess he's a pretty good NBA player. Like he missed those 2 weeks with the plantar fascia. But, I think Lillard is a deserving guy, and also I just hate Harden that much. So I went Lillard over Harden.
And Lillard's a top 5 player in every offensive advanced metric on here. He's just a horrendous ranked defender.
Yeah, and the reason why I gave him somewhat of a pass defensively, which I don't like doing, and also he's not the best. He's not a great player for the All-Star game format, because like what I want to see from him doing, I guess, just shooting
long
three-pointers,
and
then never smiling or making a facial expression. Like he's just emotionless on the court. but defensively, I've given him a little bit of a pass because he has to do everything for that team.
Yeah, and that's probably
similar to what Harden does. That's probably why Harden loafs a little bit defensively. But I think Lillard is a deserving guy this year.
I think there is a difference between the two if you watch him. Lillard tries on defense. I just don't think he's. I think he's clueless.
Really?
And I actually would give him the benefit of the doubt for that more. Like Harden knows how to play defense, I think, and he just doesn't do it.
See, but I don't understand something like that. Why would he be clueless? Like he's been in the league 4 years now, 5 years? Why?
I don't know. I feel like if you watch him, he's not a lazy defender. He just isn't an ineffective defender.
So I mean, he just doesn't have just the physical talent. He doesn't have
I don't know if it's a talent thing or a mentality thing, or if it's sort of like the same thing we're talking about with Fareed, where it's just like he hasn't, whatever reason, he hasn't put it together.
Yeah,
but it's clear that he hasn't.
There's certain players you wish you could just get in their body for a game and just to see why aren't they doing certain things, right? It's it's very frustrating. But anyway, yeah. All right, so let the listeners know.
Well, I've got CP3. I've got James Harden as my backcourt player, and my third backcourt guy is Manu Ginobili. Right?
Manu Ginobili.
I know he's only playing 20 minutes a game. And I actually think this is okay because I think the Spurs are so historically good. They need 2 All-Stars. He's 7th in PER right now. He's actually ranks very high in the defensive metrics. And offensive win shares, he's 20th overall in Basketball References version and 6th overall in ESPN version. Frankly, he's been a top 5 to top 10 guard in the West this season, according to pretty much every advanced metric, even with the limited minutes. And the next guy on my list would have been Tony Parker. So even if you want to rule out Manu because he hasn't played enough minutes, it goes to Parker next.
It's funny because I was reading an AARP magazine earlier today, so maybe that's why. Maybe it's all coming full. It's all coming full circle.
No, objectively, I would have a really hard time leaving Damian Lillard off in favor of Manu. But just going off of these stats, that's who they would have in there.
This was the most fascinating of all your selections.
But I sort of like it because I feel like the Spurs should have at least 2 All-Stars.
That's the thing. See, I'm totally with you. The Spurs, people forget the Spurs are 1 game back of Golden State.
And they have better numbers.
Point differential. Yeah, point differential. They're still tops in the league. They definitely deserve 2 guys. But the thing is that if there was going to be a second guy, and talk about someone who's boring for All-Star games, I probably was going to go LaMarcus. He's been a lot better the last month and a half. He's become clearly the number 1 or if worse 2 option behind Kawhi.
Duncan is right on the outskirts of my. He's higher in my stuff than LaMarcus.
And Duncan too. So. But
you want to know? Guess where he ranks in ESPN's defensive plus minus?
Who, Duncan? Who?
Guess where he ranks?
I guess Duncan would be top
number
5,
1
right?
overall.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's still up there. He's tremendous.
Number 1 overall. That's how effective he still is.
I mean, but he's only getting 20 minutes a game, probably.
He's at 26 for the season.
That's pretty good, actually. Yeah. I mean, I mean,
to our front court guys here.
How many All-Star games has Manu made? He must have.
I don't know. Has he made any?
He must have made a couple, right? If he's I think
that's going to be the title of the podcast. Why Manu Ginobili deserves to be in the All-Star game.
If he's never made one before, wait, was he an All-Star in 2014?
He made
2
All-Star games, 04 and 10.
Yeah.
I think this is
that's a long gap. 7-year gap or whatever.
Yeah.
So
it's tough for those bench guys to get in there.
Agree. I'm sorry to break your heart. Manu will not make the team, Mark. But Very fascinating there. I mean, interesting.
All right, so here's the front guard guys. Again, we both agreed Anthony Davis is coming off the bench.
Well, I don't even want to play. I wish I could take him out. Just get I'm so tired of him getting injured all the time too, and he'll probably get injured in the All-Star game.
And DeMarcus Cousins, we both agreed should be a front court player.
Correct.
The guy who just missed for me was Tim Duncan and Dwight Howard. So now we both had as our last front court player, we both had a Maverick.
That's right.
Do you want to tell everybody who you had, and then I can share with who I had?
All right. So I went with the guy who got about 150,000 votes, and I think he was like 12th in the Western Conference voting, which again is interesting. Like I would have thought this guy would have got a lot more votes because he's a legend. Top 10 all time in the NBA in scoring, and that is Dirk Diggler-Nowitzki, who I'm not even a fan of, but if you look at his stats, he's been super efficient and productive this year. Mm-hmm. Dallas is, I think, the 5 seed right now. They don't have a ton of talent. They've been injured the whole year. Rick Carlisle's done a fascinating job. I think Dallas deserves one guy, and so I went with Dirk.
And
who, by the way, who I think will actually make the All-Star team, and he'll play like he usually. I think last year he made it, and he plays like 3 minutes. 1, because he's not suited for that game, and 2, because he's old, and 3, no one wants to watch Dirk play. Anyway.
Listen, though, he's averaging 31 minutes. He's averaging 18 points, 7 rebounds, a half a block, half a steal. He's shooting 40% from the 3-point range, making 2 of those a game. He's like, if I'm picking with my head, like based off what I've seen, I'm probably picking Dirk. Now, here's what the advanced stats say. You ready for this? This is the most surprising one so far.
Oh, no, this is not more surprising than Manor to me, but go ahead.
Zaza Pachulia came out as an all-star in this little concocted advanced stat ranking that I came up with. He's carried primarily by his his effectiveness on the defensive end, but also offensive win shares. He's 12th in the front court, guys. So, not top 5, not top 6, but, not that far away either. So, very highly in, like I said, in defensive ones, comes out as one of the best 6 front court players.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, if you watch the Dallas games, and I played Zaza a lot in DFS, because especially at the beginning of the year, his price was really low. He's been really consistent. Defensively, he's been really good. I mean, there's some argument they're actually, better off with him over DeAndre Jordan, which I don't think is accurate, but it's probably not that crazy to say a comment like that. So, I still think Dirk would be the smarter player over him, but he's been one of their most consistent players. And the most important thing about Zaza probably, he's played every game almost for Dallas. Like, he's been one of the guys who's been not banged up.
Yeah, and I think that definitely helps him. The fact that they played so well, and he's played so many games and minutes.
Right, he's probably played. I bet you he's played the most minutes out of anyone on that team.
I think it would be close between him and Dirk, actually. Dirk has played in 40 games, and he's played 31 minutes per game. Zaza's played 42 games and 29 minutes per game.
Oh wow! I can't believe Dirk. Yeah, Dirk's played that many games. That's pretty.
I can calculate it here real quick. Let me tell you.
But while you do that, so I'll read to the.
Dirk has played 4 more minutes.
Wow, that's pretty crazy. So, if you look at in the actual voting for the front court in the West, this is how it went. Kobe Bryant had 1,891 votes, the most out of anyone. Kevin Durant second, 980,000 votes. Third, this is where it got super close. 3rd through 5th. 3rd was Kawhi, 782,000 votes. 4th, Zaza, 768,000 votes.
So everybody agreed with me.
So yeah, so like you were onto something that I sure as heck wasn't. Like, so Dirk got 173,000 votes. He was 14th in the voting in the West, whereas Zaza, who had never been top 10 before, came out of nowhere and almost was. He was 14,000 votes away from starting. And 5th was Draymond Green, 726,000 votes. And 6th is Blake Griffin. So Zaza finished ahead of some big hitters.
Yeah.
So
Karl-Anthony Towns finished like 20th in my rankings. I mean, just so you know.
So does he make the rookie sophomore game? Real quickly, Mark. Should we do snubs real quick?
Nah. I mean, we don't know who the whole all-star team is, so I mean, what do you mean? Snubs from our team?
Yeah,
Is that what you're saying?
as I said it, I was like, this is the dumbest idea ever. So I'm like,
No, I mean, like,
all right, no, this is what I want to do. So I just want to read you. I'm going to go through and real quickly, just and not even read how many votes they got. Tell you the vote, how the voting went down in the East and West, and just tell me if anything stands out to you. Any you want to make any quick comments? Okay, because some of it's pretty fascinating. All right, so guards in the East went Wade, Lowry, Irving, Butler, DeRozan, Wall, Rose, Lynn, Isaiah Thomas, Reggie Jackson was 10th. Anything surprising there?
No, I mean, you're probably pretty surprised that Lin is high, but he's going to get a lot of votes from China.
Yeah, I would have thought he would get more votes than from China. Like only 195,000 votes. I mean, like, yeah. But
the fact is, there's millions and millions of NBA fans, and the fact these guys are only getting in the hundreds of thousands shows you that it's not like a representative sample.
Well, right. And the thing is, like, all you have to do is send a retweet to vote. You don't have to actually go to it. Like back in the, me and you were probably, at least I'm old enough to remember when you went to a game, you had to punch that stupid ballot, which
drove to go to like McDonald's and fill it out.
Yeah, which drove me nuts. And then actually find somewhere to actually like put it in like an actual ballot box.
Right.
All right. So this is the front court for the East. LeBron 1, Paul George 2, Carmelo 3, Gasol 4, Drummond 5, Porzingis 6, Bosh 7, Love 8th, Whiteside 9th, Giannis 10th. And I'll say Millsap 15th. Only 41,000 votes. So basically, if you went to like one Atlanta Hawk game, or I guess it would have been maybe like 2, and you told people just to vote for Millsap, that's all the vote. He got 41,000 votes. That's it.
That's kind of surprising, because he's really one of the best, players. But again, like fan voting, like I just can't get worked up about it. I don't really care.
All right. I think to me, that's just fascinating. Like 41,000 votes. Dear God, I could have got 41,000 votes. Right? Like how many Twitter followers do I have? 2,400? I would have just said, send a retweet. Give me the All-Star game. It's just like, it's crazy to me. All right. The West real quick. Guards. Curry, Westbrook, Chris Paul, Clay, Harden. Ginobili was 6th. Rondo, a guy we didn't talk about at all. Where did he come out in any years?
Oh, I just closed it.
That'd be interesting to see where he came out.
Let me see if I can open it up.
But Tony Parker was 8th. Andre Iguodala 9th. Damian Lillard was 10th. Man, no respect for Lillard. But Rondo's an interesting guy. I wonder if you think he'll get any consideration.
Nah, he came out 15th overall in the guards.
I mean, yeah, he won't because the coaches hate that guy, so he won't. All right, so the front court for the West: Kobe 1, Durant 2, Kawhi 3, Zaza 4, Draymond Green 5, Blake 6, Enes Kanter, dear God 7th, Duncan 8th, Anthony Davis. So much for him becoming a fan favorite. 9th, DeMarcus Cousins 10th.
Awesome. All right, Daniel, I think that will wrap up the show for us. Anything you want to share before we go?
Woo, no, that's it. Long week. Just enjoy your Friday, guys.
Yep, enjoy your Friday. Hope you enjoy some basketball.
Actually, you know what I want to say, Mark?
Yeah.
If you guys, I know we say this like every show, rate and review the podcast, but if you guys could really do that, it'd be fantastic. And as a super bonus, if you do that and you send me like a screenshot that you actually did, like, you legitimately reviewed the podcast on iTunes or wherever you're listening to it, I'll hook you up with a DFS lineup for that night or for the night. So there you go. There's your incentive to review the podcast.
All right, guys. Hopefully you enjoy some basketball over the weekend. We love you a lot. Bye.